Today's topic: why beautiful women stay in toxic relationships, or the 3 psychological chains that keep you tied to a loser. Let's get into it. Now, before we begin, if you're in a dangerous situation, please get out while you still can. I did. If you need help, call the National Domestic Hotline at 800-799-7233 or text BEGIN to 88788. Now, obviously, anyone can wind up staying in a toxic relationship. It's not just beautiful women. I use this example because it best illustrates that this can happen to anyone, regardless of status. Because imagine that you're a beautiful young woman, you're talented and you're rich. You've won awards. Everyone loves you. Everywhere you go, doors automatically open for you. You're surrounded by interesting people and you can have any man that you want. The world is literally your oyster. You live a charmed life and you don't have to deal with the petty challenges that most of us do on a daily basis. Like, you're here and we're here. At least that's what everyone believes. But then on February 8th, 2009, pictures of Rihanna's face are published after her then boyfriend Chris Brown assaults her in a car. What? The public was devastated, but also super confused. Like, how did this even happen? She's Rihanna. Everyone loves her. And Chris Brown? What? She can have any man she wants. Why would she be with this loser? And was this the first time this happened, or was this going on all along? Well, sadly, it probably was, because the first time anyone sees this play out is rarely the first time it happens. In June 2018, I was sent to the hospital by a man that I loved. Everyone was shocked, including me. I mean, to this day, I have no memory of even getting hit. But honestly, I shouldn't have been, because these situations don't just happen overnight. At first, everything's great, but slowly things get worse, little by little, every day. But there's still enough good in the relationship. So you start to think, well, this is a one-off, or he's just having a bad day. I don't know, you make up any excuse that you can think of. You think it's romantic when he's blowing up your phone asking, what are you doing 10 times a day? I mean, it's crazy. Eventually, it does get pretty bad, but by then, you feel tied to him, especially if you've kept all of this hidden from the people you love, like I did. This event shattered my perfect life. Not my real life, not the one I was actually living, but the one I created in my mind. The one I convinced myself that we could have someday if I could just fix him. The one that I showed everyone else. That whole experience was incredibly painful, but it was also a blessing in disguise. It opened my eyes to the beliefs that had put me in that situation to begin with, and helped me break a cycle that I hadn't even realized I was repeating. Because the question I kept asking myself at the time was, how could he do this to me? But after I went to therapy and did the work, I realized that that wasn't the right question. The real questions were, why would I do this to myself? Why did I allow this? The brutal truth was, I had no one else to blame but me. It took me months to answer those questions, but it took years to know how to move forward. Once I figured that out, I broke free from those bonds for good. So today I'm going to share what I learned so that you can break your bonds too and reclaim your life. If you watched my last video, I go over the 4 vital boundaries that a relationship has to have if it's going to work. If you haven't seen it yet, you can watch it by clicking above. But even if you got those 4 boundaries perfectly right, they won't matter unless you also have the missing key. And that key is autonomy, your ability and willingness to walk away. Because until you're able to walk away from any situation calmly and confidently without fear or anger, you'll never have control over your life. To have autonomy, you have to break the 3 invisible chains that keep you in a state of submission. These beliefs are buried so deep in your subconscious, you probably don't even know that they're there, but they are. And once you can name them, you can break them. Invisible chain number 1, financial dependency. The first chain is the most obvious, financial dependency. When your basic survival, like food, shelter, and safety, depend on someone else's income and therefore their cooperation. In other words, if you want to eat, you have to do everything you can to keep them happy. Putting your life in anyone else's hands makes you vulnerable to every type of abuse. You put up with their BS and try your hardest to keep them satisfied, even if it makes you miserable. But it's never enough. You filter all of your decisions through how you think they're going to react. Should I do this? Can I say that? Can I talk to this person? Can I go here? Should I check in? Constantly weighing the pros and cons of every move you make. It's exhausting and kills your self-esteem. Before you know it, they're controlling every aspect of your life and living in your head rent-free. You start silencing yourself and stop expressing your opinions. You don't address your needs and your boundaries are non-existent. But instead of the kindness and validation you're expecting, your weakness triggers their resentment, and they double down on embarrassing you, berating you, or worse. Sound familiar? Now, to get out of this, you first have to realize that you put yourself here. I know that's not what you want to hear, but you have to come to terms with this. No one forced you to stay, and it's no one else's fault. You saw the red flags, but you chose to ignore them. And until you're able to accept this and take accountability, you disempower yourself and you won't get out of it. So say it out loud. I put myself here so I can get myself out. Second, you have to identify the core belief that creates this chain. I can't take care of myself. Something happened that formed this belief in your subconscious, and it keeps you stuck because you're afraid of what might happen if you leave. You're convinced that no matter how bad things get, being on your own would be a lot worse. For example, many women say that they stay for their kids, but that's just an excuse. Kids don't benefit from toxic environments. The truth is that they're afraid that they won't be able to provide and care for their kids on their own, or they're afraid of what their family and friends will think. But plenty of women have left toxic situations and thrive. There's a way around everything. Try this. Replace the phrase, I can't because, with I can if. When you say, I can't because, a long list of reasons why you can't will pop up. But when you say, I can if, you get a whole different list. You get options. Focus your attention on solutions and you'll see how many you actually have. This gives you perspective and clarifies your next steps. Third, realize that beliefs are nothing but opinions. And in childhood, we all inherit opinions from the adults around us. Kids are vulnerable and believe whatever they're told. And because parents aren't perfect, they can easily affect their kids' self-esteem, even without meaning to. Left unaddressed, these negative beliefs can cause a ton of issues for you as you mature. Because if you carry these beliefs long enough, they become a part of your identity and you don't even question them. That stops now. I want you to dedicate some undistracted time for yourself with a pen and journal and answer just one question. Can I trust myself? Then list the reasons why not. Next, write down whether these reasons are facts or opinions. Then write down whose voice you hear when these opinions pop into your head. Do nothing else and don't share this with anyone. Wait 3 days and reread what you wrote. Now, write a positive opinion about yourself for every negative one you had written before. Even if you don't believe them yet, just write them down anyway. Circle the beliefs you prefer and cross out the ones you want to leave behind. How will you know which ones to keep? By the way you feel. Go with the ones that make you feel curious, excited, relieved, and empowered. Then write one-line statements using the ones that you chose and repeat them to yourself daily. Other people have overcome this situation, including me, and you can too. It's going to take some time, so be patient with yourself. But step forward every day a little bit in faith because it will happen. You have everything you need to depend on yourself and make sure you're okay. Now, if you're compromising your well-being for a luxury lifestyle, then realize that you're risking a lot for basically nothing, because anything that someone else gives you, they can also take away. The greatest luxuries any of us can have are time, health, peace, and fulfillment. And these are gifts that you can only give yourself. So no matter how in love or infatuated you are, always keep your options open. Make sure you have a stable structure in place that you can rely on if the relationship fails. This should include a plan B and the money to execute it. And also strong emotional ties to other people, your family, friends, and colleagues. These people genuinely care about you and have resources that you can tap for jobs, opportunities, or a place to stay while you get on your feet. And don't feel ashamed about asking for help. You do the same for them. Invisible chain number 2, emotional dependency. This happens when you think you need someone else there to feel worthy, whole, or emotionally stable. It's easy to get stuck in this belief if you don't spend enough time alone, because you constantly jump from one relationship to another, or because you've always lived with other people and never on your own. You'll know this is you if you have a hard time doing anything by yourself, like going to the gym, the movies, traveling, or just eating out, you always have to have someone else there with you or you won't do it. Again, the first thing you have to do to break this chain is to address the core belief that's creating it. I'm not enough on my own. Unless someone else is there to validate you, you feel incomplete, defective, or inadequate. Going back to our example, let's say that there's this new restaurant that you're just dying to try. Instead of treating yourself, you won't go alone because you think that that will make you look like a loser who doesn't have any friends. It's almost like you think you need to prove you have friends to deserve a plate of food. It's just crazy. Again, this belief started in your childhood. If you were neglected, criticized, or ignored as a kid, you developed low self-esteem. This taught you to people please and go out of your way to get the attention and validation that you needed. But the truth is, you're all you've got, and that's enough. You just have to learn to love yourself. Spend time alone enjoying your interests. Whether it's a day at the beach or working on one of your hobbies, make time for the things that matter to you without someone else you already know tagging along. You don't need them, and their presence is stopping you from getting to know yourself. Get into this habit and you'll start to appreciate who you are and what you're capable of. You'll get in touch with your boundaries and needs. You'll learn to respect and like yourself. And you won't depend on anyone's approval because you're happy with or without them. Emotional stability doesn't come from other people. It's created by the thoughts and beliefs in your mind. So take some undistracted time to write down how you feel about yourself and your life in general. Then ask yourself what thoughts or beliefs are creating these feelings. Finally, write down alternative beliefs and how they would change your mood, behavior, and results. For example, if you're anxious, ask yourself what thoughts and beliefs you're repeating to yourself that are causing this reaction. Where did these thoughts come from? And how would your life be different if you had the opposite beliefs? I cover this in depth in my book, Reframe It. So if you're struggling with this, you should grab your copy today. Link in bio. Invisible chain number 3, identity attachment. Identity attachment is what happens when your sense of self is wrapped up in a title, role, or relationship. This is the hardest chain to deal with because you've meshed your very being with it. Unlike emotional dependency, where you just need anyone else there to feel whole, in identity attachment, you need a specific someone to be there. For example, you don't just need a husband. You need Mr. X to be your husband. You've given being his wife a special meaning and a type of validation that you think you can't get anywhere else. I call this the cheerleader syndrome. If you're the captain of the cheer team in high school, then the only guy you want to date is the quarterback, even if he's a jerk, because it's the only relationship that makes sense and that confirms your own status at school. There's a lot going on here, so let's unpack it. The core belief creating this chain is, I'm only as good as my achievements. This belief can sound like, oh, we were destined to be together, or we were meant to be, or I don't know who I would be without him. Again, this belief comes from your childhood. While it's great to be taught high standards as a kid and given the support to reach them, if you were taught that your worth only comes from winning prizes, you constantly chase external validation and compare yourself to everyone around you. Achievements are things that you do. They're actions, not people. But when you confuse a person with an achievement, the relationship becomes a status symbol that you have to compete for. The harder it is to get the validation, him, the higher your worth if you achieve it, and the more you're willing to give to win. This is so dangerous because it blinds you to what you're actually sacrificing and stops you from questioning if he's even worth it. The truth is, if he's on a pedestal, it's because you put him there. Whatever you think that man has or is, whatever you think he represents, it's not real. It's all in your head. If you don't believe me, then answer this. Have you ever looked at a picture of your ex and thought to yourself, what the was I thinking? Exactly. See? Look, I get it. We women want to be with a winner. That's just nature. A strong man with power and status can improve your life greatly if he also cares about you. But if he doesn't, you'll have to give up your autonomy and your self-respect just to be around him. You idealize him and romanticize a toxic relationship at the expense of your self-esteem and your safety. You don't go up in status. You sink. So, how do you break this chain? Work on yourself. You get better when you are better. Write down the traits that you'd like in a partner and develop those traits in yourself. Then go out and develop your interests. Make connections with people who respect you and have aligned goals and standards. If you don't know what your interests are, then try something new. You might surprise yourself. Also, be honest and make a list of boundaries, things you absolutely will not tolerate from anyone. Then stick to them no matter what. For example, if you're uncomfortable in a situation, say so once. If he doesn't respect that, remove yourself. Just get up and leave. You don't owe him any further explanation. He already knows why you're gone. If he continues to violate your boundaries, then just cut him off. Stop giving him access to you and your time. The red flags are him showing you who he really is, not who you thought he was or who you want him to be. So pay attention. I cannot stress enough, your autonomy is everything. It gives you the power to call the shots in your own life in peace and confidence. To regain it and move beyond a toxic relationship, you first have to take accountability for what you're doing. You put yourself here, which is good news because it also means you can get yourself out. Second, go through the 3 invisible chains and figure out which one is holding you down and the beliefs that are creating it. Then take action. Question these beliefs and replace them. Only speak positivity about yourself and the world around you. Whatever anyone else told you about who you are or what you're capable of is just their opinion. It's not a fact. And if that opinion doesn't empower you, ditch it. Will you change what you believe and how you speak to yourself? Your actions change all by themselves. This is how you transform your life. What invisible chain are you struggling with? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear it. The beliefs that create these chains. I can't take care of myself. I'm not enough on my own, and I'm only as good as my achievements, were all created in your childhood. We'll talk about how that happened and what you can do to change them next. So like and subscribe for more. See you on the next vid.
Ready to overcome your mental blocks? Click the link below and grab your copy of Reframe It. Like and subscribe for more tips to help you level up. See you on the next vid.